Welcome, everybody, to the Predictive Playbook. I'm your host, John Ryan. I have a very exciting show set up for you today. We have Marco D'Angelo attending the show today, making his debut. He is the co-founder of WagerTalk.com. He has single-handedly turned me into a horse racing betting enthusiast. He also gets credit for my first Superfecta win ever. And he'll be joining us shortly with a Major League Baseball pick and a really unique and intriguing way to bet the NBA Finals. So you want to be sure to see that part of the show coming up in about 10-15 minutes. And also, he is one of the few guys, maybe the only guy, to win 25 consecutive Major League Baseball plays in a row. What's more spectacular about this feed is the fact that none of these games were lined over minus 125 on the money line. So think about it, 25 wins in a row, not over minus 125. It's never been beaten since at WagerTalk.com. It's been challenged, but it's never been beaten. So he'll be giving a free pick on Major League Baseball. He is also the $2 man today over at WagerTalk. So you can get his premium pick today for just $2. Rocky Atkinson, my good friend and pal over at sportsmemo.com, is the $2 guy there. You equally want to spend the $2 to get his best bet for this evening. And that about concludes the promotions for now. I wanted to talk about the match real quick before some of my guests start appearing here. And we know tonight at 5 o'clock, I believe, is the starting time. Yes, it is Eastern Standard Time. You guys know I'm a golf guru, and I have some really great guests. WagerTalk's Nick Borman comes on. We also have David Behrman, who's been just absolutely on fire. 12 out of 14 tournaments. He has cashed significant profits. He's helped me make a significant gain in my DraftKings lineups. So all of that put together here, we have DeChambeau and Aaron Rodgers teaming up against Mickelson and Tom Brady, and this certainly will be a very entertaining matchup, and I can't wait to see this. My afternoon couldn't be better with this show, and then just turn on the TV to watch this match. So right now, Bryson DeChambeau and Aaron Rodgers are minus 177 favorites, plus 130 for the underdog Mickelson and Tom Brady, and how can you not like Tom Brady as an underdog, let alone Phil Mickelson? So you know where my lean is going to be here. This is probably the equivalent of a one-unit bet, and kind of like two pizzas. Plus 130 on Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson to win the match. We have playoff match play props. One is who will win the first hole, and this is going to be live in-game betting every single hole. I encourage you not to do that. But I do like Mickelson and Brady to win that first hole. They're minus 106. So that's another pizza money bet. That's not a one unit. That would be a half unit. And here's the lead after certain holes. After the lead after 12, 15, after 3, after 6, after 9. And I do like Mickelson and Tom Brady plus 110 to be leading at the turn, where I'm sure they will probably not be getting hot dogs at the turn. There might be some talk about Green Bay Packers. There could be some talk about wagering, perhaps. You know, and it's all good. I mean, these guys are entitled to have fun on a golf course and have side wagers going. And after all, they can afford it. They're not being degenerates, and it's going to be fun to watch. I just wonder how many times the over-under is for the number of times that Green Bay Packers is mentioned, or the number of times that Tom Brady has 7 rings. And, oh, by the way, Aaron, how many do you have again? You know it's going to happen, and it's going to be all in good fun. And I just can't wait for this. With what Mickelson accomplished at the PGA, is the oldest man to ever win one of the 4 majors, and Bryson as far as he hits the ball. And then we have Tom Brady, arguably the GOAT, and Aaron Rodgers, who, without Tom Brady playing, he might have been the GOAT. Who knows? But 2 really good athletes teaming up with 2 of the best in the PGA Tour. This could not be better. So those are my prop bets for the match tonight, and I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope we win. That's the most important part. Now, Major League Baseball, I do have a betting system here going tonight. And I have two of my friends here. Here's Tony Mejia joining me, and Jesse Schulle just got backstage here. Hey guys, what's going on?
Just watching the Italy game here.
I guess it would help if I put this on. So you guys can hear me, right?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good.
Tony, can you hear us? Doesn't sound like Tony can hear us.
I'm not sure why, but we'll continue here. Jesse, I'm going to do this angle of the day quick because we do have a lot of guests coming on. And my angle of the day is in Major League Baseball, and that is the wrong one, so I have to pull up the right one. But all right, let's segue into this. We had a show earlier today, Jesse, and for anybody who's been watching your shows with me, you look a little different, and people are probably saying like, "Wow, that's a statement." Is it a fashion statement, or did you get motivation from one of the scenes on The Bachelor or something, or how did this come about?
Maybe he's so hot his hair's on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a good one.
My son is a big soccer fan. He's a fan of Manchester City. And there's a Manchester City player, Phil Foden, who plays for the English national team, who came to the European Championships with his hair bleached. And the English national team has said that they're all going to dye their hair if they win the championship. So my son's decided he wanted to dye his hair, and he wanted me to do it with him. So that's what we've done. Now we'll cheer on England tomorrow.
That is deserving of Father of the Year consideration for sure. Absolutely, for sure. That's really cool. I think that's a good story. So England tomorrow at 3:00, and what I haven't even seen how the game's been going today with that.
Scoreless right now in the second half.
All right. Seeing if Tony Mejia can get back in here. All right. So here's my, I think I have the right betting angle of the day up today. And voila. And we finally got a pitcher for Baltimore. He's from what I could gather, and that was 2 hours ago, and it's probably a lot more information out there. Spencer Watkins essentially called up. I don't believe he was on the roster. He had one inning of work for the Orioles this year. He is a right-handed starter. It's unclear whether he'll be kind of used as an opener or a starter. But quite frankly, I mean this with no disrespect, I think it won't matter. I don't think there's anybody on the Orioles that can stand up to the offensive power that the Blue Jays bring in and night out. So we have Steven Matz on the hill, and left-handed pitcher, and that's probably the only good news for Baltimore is they, for some reason, even though they're 30 games under 500, have done well against left-handed starters. But I don't think that's going to be enough to overcome the offense of the Toronto Blue Jays. So you're going to bet on All-American League favorites, 135 to 200. Favorites are starting a pitcher working on at least 7 days of rest. And the favorites, the starting pitcher has posted an average ERA between 4.20 and 4.70 for the season. And the underdog is batting no better than 250 on the season. That's gone 73 and 60 on the run line for 56% winning bets. The $100 better has produced a 22% ROI and over $2,000 in profits. And last but not least, Toronto's George Springer is one of my favorite player angles. And he's a great hitter. He still is a great hitter. And in his respective teams in the past, he's obtained a 20-14 record when he is coming off a game getting 0 hits, and the team had the previous day off. 4-1 with Toronto, 164 and 101 for 62% while a member of the Astros. Those records are regardless of whether it was a day of rest or not. The 20-14 is with a day of rest. So I like Toronto tonight quite a bit with the run line. That's our Major League betting angle of the day. Now I have two special guests coming on, Jesse, and they may ask you about your appearance and how that all came about. So don't be shy. They're legitimate questions, I think, and it all has to do with soccer, so it's cool. But we have Tony Mejia, my apology, and WagerTalk co-founder Marco D'Angelo in the house with us, making his debut. And it's great to see both you guys here. You guys can all hear me, right?
Yep.
Okay, good. And well, first of all, Marco, how is your week going so far? How was your weekend? I hope your barbecues were excellent.
The weekend we had losing Saturday and Sunday. Went 0-1-1 on Saturday, and then 1-2 on Sunday. Yesterday we went 2-1. Good day yesterday. Although our top play, we lost by a half a run. We had a first 5-inning wager minus the half run with Tampa Bay, and we had Rich Hill on the mound, 4-0 lead and cruising. And for some reason, he only gave up 1 run, but they pulled him with 3 2/3 innings with only 1 run given up. And then they gave up 4 in the top of the 5th inning, and we got a 5-5 tie out of that. But when you're laying a half a run, that doesn't work out well. So looked like it was going to be a 3-0 day, but I'll take 2-1 every day. You know what they say, if you can hit 2 out of 3 every day, you'll never work a day in your life. So let's keep rolling with that. And today over at shameless plug, over at WagerTalk every Tuesday, and at Sports Memo every Tuesday, we pick one capper for the $2 capper, and they give out a best bet for $2. Today, that is yours truly, myself, for the $2 over at WagerTalk. I'm not sure. I think it's Rocky Atkinson today over at Sports Memo for the $2. So if you want to pick out a couple best bets for, less than $5, you can pick up 2 plays today, one here at WagerTalk and one at Sports Memo.
Yeah, that's awesome, Marco. I want everybody to know we didn't have that rehearsed either with the slides. It just kind of worked out. That's Marco's 4% National League Game of the Week tonight for $2, and Rocky has I actually forgot what his play was. It's in Major League Baseball, I'm sure. It's only $2, so you're getting 2 of the finest by going over there to WagerTalk and Sports Memo and spending $2. Which, guys, I like to put everything into comparison of an IPA cost. So $2, that's like taking a swallow. There's no reason not to get these. None. So we already talked to Jesse. We had Jesse on the show today. He and his son did a cool thing with the soccer. England fans are changing their hair color, and because England is in it, and I think they're going to make it to the final. Quite frankly, I think he's done a pretty cool thing there. I don't know if I could do that, or even if I have enough hair to do it, but I could paint my scalp maybe.
Yeah, definitely I don't have enough hair to do that. Nice look, Jesse. I'm jealous that I don't have the hair to do it.
I keep my hair pretty short, so it's perhaps only a short-term thing. In 2 weeks it'll all grow out, and I'll have a crew cut that's back to my normal dark color.
Doesn't look terrible.
Keep the sun happy.
It would clash against my blazer blue, though. I'd have to get a different jacket, I think. But maybe not. Anyway, Marco's here to give us a free pick in Major League Baseball, and then a really intriguing way to look at the NBA Finals. So I thought we would start with the Major League Baseball pick and breakdown that he has for us, and then we can all talk about the NBA Finals. Previous to this, if you're watching this now, I started out the show with my personal best bets on the match, which starts at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. In my opinion, it's must-watch TV as much as watching and popular as The Bachelor was last night. No comparison between the quality of the shows, though. This one tonight is much better, and it has Phil Mickelson with Tom Brady. and Aaron Rodgers is with DeChambeau, and this should be entertaining beyond any stretch of the imagination. So I wonder how many times Green Bay Packers and Super Bowl trophy will be mentioned in the first 3 holes. Probably more than once. But Marco, what do you have for us in Major League Baseball tonight?
Well, I'm going to take a look at the Philadelphia-Chicago Cub game, and as expected, the line's been going up on this game today, and why wouldn't it? The Cubs have lost 10 in a row, so why would anybody want to bet them? Well, I like to be a contrarian, and I'm going to step in and take the Cubs tonight. That 10-game losing streak, I want to point out that 9 of those losses came on the road. They just finished up a 3-city road trip, and it wasn't an easy road trip. They started out in L.A. playing the Dodgers, the defending champs. Then from there, they fly back Midwest to Milwaukee and face a division rival. That division rival was in the middle of 11-game winning streak when they faced them in that series. And then they finished it up with another division rival, the Cincinnati Reds. Now, granted, the Reds are not the same caliber of team as Milwaukee or the Dodgers, but they are in the middle of a 5-game winning streak right now. So I'm looking at the people that they were playing, the teams they were playing, and I'm giving them a pass as far as the 10-game losing streak. Not a total pass. I don't want them to lose all 10, but we can understand the rough road there. Now they're back at home. They were back at home last night, and if you followed me on any of the shows I do, one of the angles I do like is go against the team the first game back at home. You're coming back home, no day off, and especially this one was coming back off of a holiday, and they got drilled yesterday. I like to take those teams that lose that first game of the homestand in game number 2. Now, you look at the pitching matchup with Arrieta and Nola, and Arrieta's not had a good season, but he has pitched better at home. Aaron Nola, this was a guy that was Philadelphia, and I know, John, you're a big Philadelphia fan. He was the ace, but he hasn't really pitched solid baseball. He's had his moments. 2 starts ago, he did toss 5 innings of shutout ball against the Mets, but we all know the Mets struggle to hit. The other 2 games in the last 3, well, he got lit up like a Christmas tree. As you look 3 back, he was in San Francisco, and they sent him to the showers in the 3rd inning. He gave up 6 runs in that outing. And then last time out, Miami, not exactly known as a powerhouse offensive team, but they put up a 7 spot against them in 4 2/3 innings. I'm going to go ahead and take the Cubs here as an underdog. Little stat for you, Philadelphia, following a game in which they scored 12 runs or more the last 2 seasons, just 1 in 10 in the next game. I'll go ahead and take that live dog here to stop that streak tonight for my baseball free play.
Yeah, I love that pick, Marco. Just adding a little bit about Aaron Nola. He's been hit or miss the consecutive starts. He's been as good as allowing no runs in 7 innings against the Yankees. And 2 of the 3 starts since then, he's been hammered for, I think it's 6 and 7 earned runs. So after the Yankees game, we kind of thought we had 2 aces with him and Wheeler. And now, we're back to wondering whether he can pitch consecutive games well. So I like this pick quite a bit. Cubs have to win, too. They're back down to 500, and Milwaukee's pulling away. Kind of sounds like a must-win situation to me.
Could be a play on the over as well with both those pitchers struggling, especially after what we saw last night in game 1.
Yeah, I used a little bit of the bullpen last night, both teams there. So, the over would be the only way to look if you're looking at the total.
Yeah, I have a little angle on the over, too, but I won't waste our time bringing that up because I'm finding it right now. We'll let it go. I can't identify with my eyes here in my notes. But anyway, the pick is the Chicago Cubs, and we have a definite lean towards the over. Let's move on to the NBA Finals. What a day. You get the golf match with Phil Mickelson, and then you get, a little baseball in between, and then you get 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Game 1. Milwaukee playing at the Phoenix Suns, and probably 2 teams we didn't think we were going to see in the finals. I always remember that Nets-Milwaukee game or series where the Nets looked like they were just going to steamroll them. And then 2 games later, it looked like the Bucks were going to steamroll them. Then we have injuries. Then we don't know who's even playing night to night. But we do know that probably Giannis is out. I mean, he's listed as out. But sometimes this betting line is telling me that he
so
just
fast.
he might just show up and play. So let's turn this over to Marco again because he has some insights to a different way and probably a better way to bet the NBA Finals.
Well, guys, obviously going into it, given the health situations with Milwaukee and Giannis, you got to like Phoenix in the series right now. And if you like them, you're going to pay a price for it. They're minus 190 in the series. Now, we saw a little brief sneak peek of this Phoenix team last year in the bubble. If you remember, they didn't go to the playoffs, but this was a team, I do believe they went undefeated in the bubble last year and gave their fans some hope and looking on what was going to come in the future. I don't think anybody thought what was coming was an NBA Finals visit, but they steamrolled their last 2 opponents to get here, and I'm looking at them and I want to say, I want to bet them, but I don't want to lay 190. So what I come up with is if Phoenix is going to win this series, now there's always a chance I'm going to look at an MVP bet. Very seldom does the MVP player come off the losing team. It's happened, but it doesn't happen that often. So we can feel pretty confident if Phoenix wins, the MVP is going to be one of the Phoenix Suns. Well, who's most likely to be the MVP for Phoenix? It's 2 people. It's either going to be Chris Paul or it's going to be Devin Booker. Now, because the MVP is not something that's a clear-cut winner based on a score or, stats, it's something that comes down to a vote. And sometimes don't want to admit it, but I think popularity and maybe lifetime achievement award comes into play with the voters. And because of that, I think Chris Paul for MVP is an outstanding wager here for a different way to play the series. Instead of laying 190, and let's say we wanted to bet 500, we wanted to win 500 on the series, we would have to risk $950 to do so to win that $500 wager if we did a traditional series bet on Phoenix. If I take Chris Paul, what I'm going to do is I'm going to invest that same $500, but I'm going to do it 2 different ways. I'm going to put $300 on Chris Paul to win the MVP. He's currently at plus 205 here in Vegas. That would return me a profit of $615 if the Suns win the NBA title and he is named the MVP. The only other guy that I see has the shot and is actually the slight favorite is Devin Booker. He's got the better numbers scoring-wise, but don't forget, Chris Paul missed a couple games because of COVID, and when he came back that first game, he was rusty. We saw it. His shooting was horrible. But then he come back in that crucial game and delivered the knockout blow for the Suns. He was tremendous in that game. Plus, with Chris Paul, he's the guy that's going to be dishing the ball. He's the guy that's the facilitator on the floor. That'll help him in the voting as well. But what I'll do is put a little saver bet on Devin Booker at plus 195. And a $200 wager on him would return a profit of $390. Why $390 so important? Well, if we lose the Chris Paul wager, we lose $300. So we'll still net a $90 profit for the 2 wagers. But if Chris Paul wins MVP, we net $415 profit instead of risking $950 to bet, to win 500. So I think that's an intriguing way, different way to look at betting the NBA Finals if you want to kind of have a series play.
Oh, I love it. I mean, that's something I definitely see because I'm looking at the betting lines here. Chris Paul is the top player, then Devin Booker not too far behind, and Giannis is actually third, then Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, and then there's basically the odds are telling you there's no chance that these guys would be the MVP. So that Chris Paul and Devin Booker being 1-2 makes a lot of sense, and it's definitely returning more because if they win, one of those two has to be the MVP. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. With the time we have here, and Marco, do you have to take off for anything, or just let me know if you?
I have a few minutes to hang out with you guys.
Okay, let's just go around. We'll start with Tony Mejia here and see what his game one breakdown or series, suggestions, his ideas for best bets for this game or the series. See what he has to say here.
Well, I definitely like the Chris Paul MVP pick. I voted for MVP back when I was an NBA media member, and it's really maybe 15 people that get that, and they honestly tap you on the shoulder, like NBA Communications, and says, and say, all right, you're one of our panelists for this. Like right as game, the final game is coming to its culmination. So it's really on the fly and a really short sample size. So certainly what Marco said about sentiment and popularity goes a long way. If it would be hard for Chris Paul not to win the MVP if the Phoenix Suns are winning this NBA title. Even if him and Booker have had arguably the same impact on the series, you'll see Paul win it. Paul is really good with the media too. He's the Players Association president. So definitely on board with that. Also like, if you're not wanting to lay juice, the Suns to win game one and the series, that's only $1.25 at DraftKings. So that's an interesting way to parlay that. Because presumably if you feel the Suns are going to win the series, they've got the top advantage tonight. If Giannis doesn't go, latest accounts is that he's questionable. I think we'll probably see him for game two since he's so close. We might even see him tonight. But, that's a good bet if you like Phoenix. I don't see any value in the 185 minus 190 that's out there. I actually think there's more value in Milwaukee because all these numbers have been baked into Giannis being out for, a couple of games. And now it seems like he's closer than he's not. So, if you do like Milwaukee, it's plus 155 at FanDuel and BetMGM. And all these numbers you need to shop around because I've seen them all over the place. I've seen Chris Paul at plus 140. Marco just said he's over $2 in Vegas. Seen him at 160 at William Hill when we just did the NBA show and they flashed the graphics. So got to shop, get the most bang for your buck. And Drew Holiday, I think, is the biggest long shot that I really like. Even though I don't like Milwaukee to win the series, if they do win the series, he's in the plus 1,100 to plus 1,600 range. Almost came up with a triple double in the Game 6 clincher against Atlanta, and you figure that he's going to play a prominent role in defending Chris Paul. So if he can really use his physicality to shut down Paul and put up stats on the offensive end, he's got a shot to really, have a huge impact on the series. So, again, these are the two top defensive teams in the NBA playoffs. Points per possession, they finished first and second, ranked first and second in opponent field goal percentage in the restricted area. The only two teams that have allowed fewer than 1 point per transition possession, which is really good because you figure they're on the break and, that's typically 2 points. So they get back in transition well. From that standpoint, that might lead you to unders, but they played two really high scoring games in the regular season. And where they set the total, I had it at 217. They put it at 217.5, and now it's been bet up to 219.5, 220. With the Giannis news, I think getting bettors excited to bet the high side. So, lots of angles in this game, and it should be an exciting finals. Two teams that obviously haven't been there in decades.
Yeah, I just maybe remember on Friday when Steve Merrill was on, and we were talking about the stat that I found that possession minutes of actually the players' average time per game holding the basketball, dribbling, and then obviously it stops when they shoot. And the adjustment for Milwaukee without Giannis was much easier because of Middleton and Holiday were 1-2 in that category in the Bucks. So they averaged over 11.5 minutes combined of actual ball contact and control. And on the flip side, Atlanta, Trae Young was obviously number one, but he was more than double the second most on the team. Which, not saying he's a ball hog or anything, just that it was easier for Milwaukee to make the adjustment. I think we saw that in the last game. Now, question for you guys, and anybody can answer it. Do you think that is an advantage for Giannis not to play tonight then? That having Giannis at 70%, say, or 75% or 80% is going to hinder what they accomplished in their previous game? I kind of think it will. I'd almost like to see Giannis not play, and then I would bet the over pretty aggressively.
I agree wholeheartedly with what you just said. I think if Giannis can't come out and be 100%, if you can't be certain he's going to be at his best, it's going to hurt them just as it hurt the Hawks when Trae Young came out and he had no legs. And I think they're better off just, especially since they're an underdog in game one anyways. If they come out without Giannis, they end up losing game one. If he's 100% ready to go in game two, I think that's far better off than forcing him to come in early. It could disrupt their game plan, especially if he's unable to do the things he normally does. I think it would be a mistake to rush him back to action for game one.
Yeah, the word is that he didn't go to the to shoot around, but he was doing some individual workouts, I guess, to test himself out. I mean, he's such a better defender than Bobby Portis that I don't see a disadvantage to having him out there, but certainly he's a ball stopper. The ball does move better without him. Milwaukee at this point is utilizing shortened rotations as it is. But I'll say this: if he's out there, the Phoenix Suns fans have to take a page out of what the Hawks fans did and do that count that threw him off so distinctively in the last game that he played before he got injured, where he's shooting air balls at the line. I mean, clearly. The free throws have affected him, and he actually dodged criticism by getting injured in that game because everybody was so focused on that injury that they almost forgot all the hijinks at the free throw line.
Yeah, free throw shooting has been a pretty popular topic on this show, that's for sure, right, Tony?
Yes, absolutely.
It's some guy named Simmons, but at least he didn't throw up air balls. But good point. Marco, anything to add?
Yeah, the other point of it is I agree wholeheartedly. If he's not 100%, don't risk him because, as you said, you're changing the momentum and the continuity that they played the last two games with, in which they played well. Also, remember, whenever you're the road team to open a 7-game series, you've got one goal, and that goal is to split on the road. So why not free roll the first game, see if you can steal a win without him, and then you have the luxury of knowing that if he's that close, you're going to have him in game two. You'll have all hands on deck for game two if you need that to get the series even. And if you somehow stole game one, then if he's not 100%, you can roll the dice and maybe wait and go back to Milwaukee to start him for game three. So I don't think he should be on the floor tonight. Ride the momentum. Give him that extra day to get healthy, which giving an extra day means giving him 3 extra days because game two, there'll be a game in between. So that's where I would go. But I'm old school. The new school guys, they think differently.
That's good stuff. I can tell you this, though. I as I said, I'll be on the over if he's not playing in that first quarter. And teams that are well rested in the regular season and mainly the playoffs, because teams that have had playing only their second game in 7 days is an outstanding 55-19, 74% over the last 5 seasons. So the fact that both teams are rested in that situation, I think that also lends itself to an over bet. And quickly on the bets, I like to do the in-game betting. So if you don't like the bet at 219, then do 50% pre-flop. And then I ran my implied volatility calculations that I borrowed from my Wall Street days that are used to calculate option volatility for the underlying stocks that they represent. And by using that, I can get a gauge on where I almost make like the end of the game scoring, like a chart. So you're going to have periods where the scoring is going to be rapid and it'll average more than 8.5 points a minute. You're going to have times where it's going to be sluggish and it'll be 3.2 per minute. So when I get that 3.2 for 3 minutes, it usually lends itself to a timeout, and then you have the opportunity to get the bet down when there's no action. So what that means is you do 50% at 219, then in-game, 211.5, 207.5, 25% each, all going to the over, and see how that works out. That's my strategy for tonight. Anything else, you guys?
I'll go with a free player prop bet.
All right.
I guess
Fire away.
everybody's pretty high on Chris Paul, and I can't disagree with anything any of you guys said. I really think Devin Booker would have to be so much better than Paul for them to give him the MVP. I think if the only way Booker wins the MVP is if Paul plays poorly, and if Paul plays poorly, then the Suns probably aren't going to win, and it'll be a Milwaukee player that would take the MVP. But anyways, with Chris Paul, the last show we did, I had over 1.5 made threes for Chris Paul. He went on to go 7 of 8 from beyond the arc in that game after an 0 for 9 stretch in his previous 2 games. And I like the same bet here. It's a little bit more juice. It's pretty expensive, minus 150, but coming off that 7 of 8 performance, he's going to be pretty confident. I expect him to have plenty of attempts. He's hitting almost 40% for the season, 37% for his career. As long as he gets half a dozen attempts from beyond the arc, we should be good to hit at least 2.
Yeah, I love it. And by the way, guys, Jesse he swept the board last year in the NBA Finals in his futures bets. So he has a package up over at sportsmemo.com, and I'm going to. It sounds nasty to say, but you're going to be out of your mind if you don't go over and buy that, because he has a track record of excellence that goes many, many years back. It's not just one lucky season. So that's another package I think you can get with confidence and have some fun with.
Same kind of bets. Sorry,
what's that?
Same kind of bets as Tony was talking about, the game one and the team to win game one and win the series, the MVP bets. Very similar plan of attack that both Marco and Tony had mentioned. Those are the kind of bets that I've made in the past 4 years and had such success with.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we have one of our favorite followers. It wouldn't be fair if I didn't highlight him. Max on Record. He always has something good. Meathead is what his nickname has been for Bryson DeChambeau for weeks and weeks and weeks now, and the guy loves it when he doesn't make the cut. So what does he say here? Enormously muscular guy who cannot hold a conversation about anything other than weightlifting and protein shakes. Well, you can't really debate that. I think you'll hear him say something tonight about protein shakes. And then, of course, known as the Professor with his physics degree from SMU. So that's another thing that I think there'll be a lot of teasing tonight. I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's going to be pretty comical at times. But then it's going to get pretty serious because they're all Type A competitors. And I heard rumor that Mickelson used to like to bet on the golf course, or still does, or I didn't really know what to say about that. But I guess that betting's legal now, so if you're betting on a golf course, there's nothing wrong with it. But I want to see seriously how many side bets they have tonight. And if the mics, if they even announce it, or whether the mics will be shut off, I would like to hear the side bets. Each hole, if you get a sandy, which is when you put it in the sand trap and then you get par, any sand trap, you can have a double sandy and still get par. That's called the junk. And I think I'd be surprised if they didn't do that. Real quick, I guess, for the remaining 2 minutes here, or whatever we have, just go around the table. We'll start with Tony Mejia with just a confirmation of your best bet for the show, and then we'll go to Jesse, myself, and we'll end with Marco being the anchor.
All right, yeah, these final few minutes of Italy and Spain are going to be nervy. I'm on Italy, and we were up 1-0, but now it's 1-1. So looks like extra time is calling, which won't help my three-way money line bet. Really sucks. But beyond that, I got a 5% play on this NBA game tonight, and I really want to break a streak because I was 10-1 in these NBA playoffs, and I'd lost my last 3 5% plays. One game Trae Young got injured. One game Kyrie Irving got injured, and I was in Brooklyn, and I was on the Bucks. Although I won't chalk it up to that because they were losing anyway. But when Giannis got hurt, so hopefully nobody gets injured tonight. And I'm 10-4 on 5% plays for these NBA playoffs, 18-7 for the season, 39-20 all time. Since joining WagerTalk. So hopefully I can come through for clients. And in addition to that 5% play, I'll have a few props. One of them I already gave up on the NBA tip-off show, and it will be a client play, so anybody watching can partake. It's Chris Paul over 8.5 assists. It's 9.5 at FanDuel for plus money, 8.5 for like minus 138, which is, you don't like to lay that juice. But at the same time, with props, it's a different animal, considering, they have it so, mapped out that sometimes it lands right at 9. And if you're at 9.5, you're SOL. So Chris Paul, I think he's obviously first finals appearance in 16 seasons, so it's not like he has that experience. But at the same time, he's looked upon as the head of the snake, has to get all these other guys involved. And really does that efficiently and effectively. So I look for him to be a distributor first and foremost, coming off a game where he shot 7 of 8 in the second half from 3-point range, to put away the Clippers. I think we'll see the distributor Chris Paul tonight. So give me over 8.5 assists for CP3 in this game 1.
Got it. Moving on to Jesse's best bet for the show.
Well, the best bet, I think, was the over 1.5 made threes that I just talked about. But since everybody's so keen on Chris Paul, might as well throw in over 20.5 points. I expect him to shoot with confidence tonight. And I kind of like your angle on the over, especially if Giannis doesn't play, maybe an increase of pace. I think 20.5 is a little low.
All right. Love those little quick 20-second free pick analyses at the end there. That's great. So my free pick is going to be, like I described, in the total of the game. And you're going to play 50% pre-flop, 219, whatever it is. But like Tony said, shop around. It's smart to shop around. It's dumb not to. You can get better lines. It's going to increase your chances of winning. And then in-game, 211.5, 207.5. It's based on implied volatility that I borrowed from option trading. And it has served me really well, as most of these guys would attest to. It's pretty much fun. It's like me trading crude oil. And it works. So I think that's what you're going to see tonight. Now, there are times where you aren't going to get those levels. Sometimes these games on the over, they go right out of the chute. They're 9 points per minute, and you don't have a chance to get that 211.5. That's the downside. But the upside is then you have 3 bets. If you get all of them filled, you have 3 bets that are better than putting 100% at 219. So I like taking advantage of the volatility of the game and taking advantage of it appropriately instead of like trying to hedge a bad bet. I've gotten so many direct messages saying that, well, I use in-game to hedge a bad bet. That's probably in my humble opinion, it's probably the worst thing to do because you're actually throwing good money at what you think is bad money, and that's just not logical investment at all. So I will do that. And then for pizza money, I'm on Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady tonight, plus 135. When was the last time Tom Brady was a dog? I mean, you got to take him as a dog, right? And Mickelson as an underdog? Are you kidding me?
The Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, that was we all know what happened there.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I'll take him as the team, Mickelson, team, Brady, for the full match, plus 135, and then plus 105, that they will be leading at the turn when they get their hot dogs to play the second 9. You guys have anything else? Oh, Marco, my goodness. I'm used to being the anchor, I guess.
No problem. We're going to go with the Cubs as the best bet tonight. I know it's kind of hard to swallow a team on a 10-game losing streak, but I think the spot is right for them. Line's been going up all day. The public is pounding away on Philadelphia, and we know how that works out when public thinks something is just like free money. Yeah, it usually isn't. I'll go ahead and take the Cubs as underdog for my best bet, and of course I'll have money on the Chris Paul MVP wager.
Yeah, for what it's worth, you mentioned something there, Marco, sentiment. And Steve Merrill and I did a show today. We've been doing them on Tuesdays throughout the last 2 months, and it's centered on Bitcoin and then connecting the similarities between the financial markets and sports betting, and how when you get 80% bulls on a team, as Marco just mentioned, with the Phillies being that situation. As smart as everybody is, the opposite more times than not happens. And we have some chart formations today that actually were right when we were on the show, where they're called engulfing candles. You have to go watch the show to learn more about it. Feel free to DM me, but those are very bearish, and it affected crude oil prices today, unleaded gas. Bitcoin is not trading well. The chart tells the story. You don't have to be smart. It's like looking at a picture in the museum. It's a picture of a landscape, or is it a picture of a building? Well, a building doesn't look like a landscape. So what I'm trying to say is it's not rocket science, and these patterns repeat and they repeat and they repeat. So we'll have to see how the S&P tomorrow behaves. But today was not a good technical day for any of the ones I just mentioned. So if you're interested in that, check it out. And I guess that'll be it for today, guys, right? Anybody else have any final thoughts? Are we good to go? All right, so on behalf of Tony Mejia, Jesse Schulle, Marco D'Angelo, and myself, WagerTalk.com, SportsMemo.com, and the Predictive Playbook. May all the wins be yours.